Good morning. I'm Herb Heathcote. I'm a treasurer and member of the Board of Trustees, so I welcome everyone this morning. We're happy that you could join us. I have a couple of announcements today. We encourage everyone to be active on our committees, and we have an opportunity for people to sign up. The order of service today and throughout this month will contain a volunteer form, so you can fill out the volunteer form and give it to a member of the board or give it to Sally Wilson, and so we'll get more people involved in our committees. We need help. Another announcement, remember that masks are required for everyone while we're singing. The exceptions are our speakers who have these microphones on and they can't wear a mask, but they'll protect themselves and us by social distancing. So everyone else, please wear a mask during the singing. And speaking of music, I'd like to invite Fran Corton to come up and tell us more about music.
So I'm here as head of your music committee, which also has Alan Miller on it, Audrey Blair, and Robin Teskey. So first I want to welcome Peter Spencer back to our service with his lovely guitar music. And a number of the pieces that he's going to play are his own, including this opening music we've just been listening to. We're introducing two innovations to you today and going forward. These are ideas that have come out of the discussions of the music committee. And one of them is that we've observed that the congregation is better able to sing our hymns when you are accompanied by a piano rather than, for example, a guitar. And so Audrey has begun recording some of our hymns to be played when we need that accompaniment and we don't have a pianist. And Carolyn Kemkus, a couple of days ago, did the technical work to get these recordings done, and so you will experience that today. Our hymns will be accompanied by a piano recording. The other innovation that we're launching today is called the Hymn of the Month. So each month, you will have one of the three hymns for that Sunday be the same every Sunday of the month. So for example, this month, the hymn of the month is Love Will Guide Us. Then next month, we'll have a different hymn of the month. Now, our objective is to have you learn these hymns, at least the first verse, because we want you to be able to put your hymnal down, sing out, look at one another, and feel confident in singing that hymn. So the grand plan is to have a hymn of the month for the rest of the year, and then on December, we'll have a service where we sing all the hymns of the month. And you will not need your hymnals. Okay, so those are the plans from your music committee, and I hope that it all works out well.
Thank you, Fran. Stirring the oatmeal is a humble act, not exciting or thrilling, but it symbolizes a relatedness that brings love down to earth. It represents a willingness to share ordinary human life, to find meaning in the simple, unromantic tasks, earning a living, living within a budget, putting out the garbage, feeding the baby in the middle of the night. To stir the oatmeal means to find relatedness, the value, even the beauty, in simple and ordinary things. Not to eternally demand a cosmic drama, an entertainment, or an extraordinary intensity in everything. Like the rice hulling of the Zen monks, the spinning wheel of Gandhi, the tent making of St. Paul, it represents the discovery of the sacred in the midst of the humble and ordinary. These words were written by our guest in the pulpit today, Reverend Jennifer DeBusk Alvear. And let me tell you a little bit about her. Reverend Jennifer is an ordained Unitarian Universalist minister whose unique call is to expand the welcome table of hospitality, inclusion, and liberation. To this end, she cultivates positive relationships with community organizations and diverse faith traditions actively engaged in the healing work of bridge building and social change. Reverend Alvear received her Master of Divinity degree at Starr King School for Ministry in Berkeley, California. She currently lives with her family on the traditional land of the Duwamish people known as Seattle, Washington. Welcome, Reverend Jennifer. Now, please settle into your seats, take a nice deep breath, and enjoy our prelude, Winsbury, by Peter Spencer. Thank you, Peter. That was gorgeous. Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. come into this place of memory and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power and let its vision change your heart. William F. Schultz. Please join me in reciting the affirmation for the chalice lighting as it's printed in your order of service. As we come together to worship, we remind ourselves to treat our people kindly because we are one family, to take good care of the earth because it is our home, and to live lives full of love and goodness because that is how we will all become the best that we can be. Now please rise as you are, and Alan will lead us through hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. And it's on.
And notice only 3 verses, okay?
Time for all ages, story time. I am so grateful. Thank you, Nancy, for your kind bio and introduction. I would love to say that I wrote that. The theme was experiencing the sacred in the midst of the ordinary. I don't have the author's name with me, but we're going to be thematic with that and the story, so thank you. This is called Under Alaska's Midnight Sun by Deb Van Ness, illustrated by Jeremy Trammell. So here's our... I'm going to try to have everyone be able to see. We've got a broad range here. I can't sleep. I won't sleep. In fact, Mama says I don't have to sleep. We're under the midnight sun. We wait all winter in the cold and dark for summer's sunlight nights. At last, winter fades, and we celebrate the longest day of the year. The sun stays up late, and so will we, enjoying the sun-soaked night. But some will sleep, like my brother Pete, before midnight comes around. Not me. I'll run and laugh and play all night under the midnight sun. We skip through the meadow where the fireweed grows, where the fox sits high on the hill. He turns and stares, eyes blazing a dare, unafraid in the midnight sun. We cast our lines in the sun-speckled creek, slippery salmons shimmer below. One leaps with a splash, fish dancing at last, having fun in the midnight sun. We hide in the grasses where the mama duck runs, baby ducks trailing behind. One circles around, flapping wings up and down, quacking loud at the midnight sun. We pluck wild roses, weave sweet-smelling crowns, one for Mama too. She lifts her head high as the queen of Knot Night, reigning under the midnight sun. Pete stretches and yawns. Tired, I ask? He shakes his head to answer no. But we all can tell he'll go to sleep before midnight finally comes. Not me. I'm wide awake on the longest day of the year. We pause for the moose with her long, slow steps, a little one by her side. He twitches one ear, and I creep close to see if we'll be friends in the midnight sun. We climb a hill to the rat-a-tat-tat of a woodpecker high in a tree. Stay awake, he taps. Midnight's coming up fast. Don't miss out on the solstice sun. We shield our eyes and point towards the sky where an eagle soars on the wind. Her wings whistle a song of creatures long gone, a story old as the midnight sun. Pete sits down and rubs his eyes. He lays his head in Mama's lap. Soon he's fast asleep, breathing slow and deep as if it's any other night. And this is the next page. Not me. I can't sleep. I won't sleep. I don't have to sleep. It's the longest day of the year. Sit, Mama says, and rest a while. I crouch down in the cool green grass. Out slips a yawn. You could lie down, she says, but I won't do that. Mama rubs my head and her eyes fall shut. Soon she's sleeping too. I snuggle close and my eyelids close just for a moment, I tell myself. The sun's broad rays stretch across the sky. The mountains glow like fire. Midnight arrives. I can't close my eyes. I've got to celebrate the light. I stand, I spin, I dance all alone with the sun still shining bright. Now I can sleep. I will sleep. In fact, I'll even be happy to sleep under the midnight sun. And I think that concludes our sermon, but I'll add a few later on. But I do like stories as that for this. Thank you, Peter. All right, let's see. So during this time in our worship service, I invite you into a time of contemplation. This is part of connecting to the earth, is connecting to our bodies. And I have this meditation thing that I do every morning. I call it Body Prayer for Daily Bread. So I invite you to join me in following the words and movements, and you're welcome to stand or sit and adapt the words to your spiritual orientation. So I will begin here. Amazement. Thank you, God, for the wonder and beauty of your creation. Receptivity. Open my heart to receive your gifts of bread, body, and life. Compassion. Help me to open my heart to receive your gifts of bread, body, and life. I think I've missed one of them. We're just going to go with it and continue on. Sharing. Invite me to share your bounty with others so that I may become an instrument of your peace. And this one is grounding, and it's the touching of the toes, if willing and able. Sometimes, some days I can do more than others. But the grounding is, invite me to share your bounty with others. Remind me to walk gently on the earth, nurturing the wheat, water, and soil of your creation. So that's grounding. Peace. Bless me, God, with the gift of your daily bread, a sign of your love and abundance. And since body prayers are a process of gradually integrating and grounding ourselves, we're going to repeat this 2 more times. This next one is just the first word with the motion, and then the final one is just the motion with silence. So, amazement. Receptivity. Compassion. Sharing. Grounding. Peace. Amen.
Joys and sorrows are always a good thing to be able to share with the community. We will not be live streaming or recording the joys and sorrows. They will stay within this room. So if you do have a joy that you'd like to share or a sorrow that's weighing heavy on your heart, please come forward, take the microphone, tell us your name, share your joy, and put a little water in for the joy, or share your sorrow, put a stone in for the sorrow. hymn number 131, our hymn of the month, Love Will Guide Us. Once upon a time, most folks used the offering plate to fulfill their pledges of financial support. Nowadays, lots of folks click on their church websites or set up automatic transfers from their checking accounts, like us. Some still write a monthly check, paying their church bill along with all the others. But passing the offering plate was never just a practical exercise. It has always been a ritual. Even if your pledge is paid up, it is worthwhile for you to bring even just $1 to drop into the plate. Worthwhile to drop into the plate as a ritual reminder of that form of love that we call generosity. Let it be a reminder that after meeting our obligations to ourselves and our households and the communities to which we belong and are committed, we must still keep our capacity to give. The practice of giving until it is a second nature and first response helps bring forth the realm of love. If you are visiting us for the first time, please feel free to simply allow the offering basket to pass you by. We are glad that you are here with us today. Will the ushers please come forward and pass the offering baskets? Thank you for your gifts. Thank you.
So these are my two core theological questions. How can we experience the sacred in the midst of the ordinary? the holy in the midst of the everyday? These questions lie at the heart of my ministry. In fact, they began stirring inside me in my early 20s. As a recent college graduate, I considered becoming a wilderness guide. To explore this vocational path further, I joined a training program with an organization called National Outdoor Leadership School. I backpacked for a month in the wilderness of Alaska during the season of the summer solstice, bathed in the midnight sun, as the story we're telling. And like this enthusiastic child in today's story, I too experienced the beauty and wonder of being bathed in the sun's sheer radiance. These are some photos of my fellow travelers in our backpacking. During this month-long backpacking trip, my team and I learned all sorts of wilderness survival skills, like river rafting across melting glaciers while keeping our balance against the river's strong currents. We also learned CPR in Alaska's backcountry. In addition, we learned to cook in the wilderness. We were tasked in transforming dry food bags delivered by helicopter airdrops into culinary delights. This, along with a strategic mindset of cooking and camping upstream against the wind so that our human scent would not travel downstream for human consumption. After all, this was bear country and bear season. I love the exhilaration of hiking steep snow-capped mountains, and I also embraced the more contemplative moments of gazing out on the majestic landscape of nature's beauty, mystery, wonder, and awe. But there is one image in particular that has stayed with me over these last 30 years, with quiet, steady endurance. It is the image of two pink wildflowers growing on the lush green mountain slope and the rushing river below and the snow-capped mountains above me. Marveling at these simple, ordinary wildflowers reminded me of a poem by William Blake. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Sitting quietly on that Alaskan hillside, I pondered the intersection between nature and spirituality. I also reflected on my own vocational calling. As an outdoor educator, I could guide people through the wilderness, leading them towards a more intimate, vibrant, expansive relationship with the natural world. Mother Nature herself would serve as the primary guide for inspiration and soul nourishment. Alternatively, pursuing ministry as a pastor would offer an opportunity to meet people at the intersection between ecology and theology. This way, I could guide people in experiencing the sacred in the midst of the ordinary, grounded in nature-based spiritual practices. What a fine line that these two worlds held. Different fields, yes, yet similar purposes around embracing one's outer and inner landscape of nature and soul. I decided to pursue ministry as my chosen vocation. I was ordained as an interfaith pastor within the Unitarian Universalist tradition. This ceremony took place in a beautiful church sanctuary graced with stained glass windows and a magnificent labyrinth at its center. So we're done with the slides here. I'm going to just preach before everything was digital and all of that, old-fashioned. I also maintained, one moment for a second. I maintained an interdisciplinary approach towards ecology and theology. I preached sermons about outdoor places and indoor spaces with sermon titles like Navigating the Soul of Human Nature and the Natural World, Listening to Water's Wisdom, Living on the Edge of Ecological Renewal, and For the Beauty of the Earth. Then one day, my interdisciplinary ministry came to an abrupt halt. It marked the beginning of the global health pandemic of 2020. The physical structure of church sanctuaries closed. Worship services moved online, and this sudden change posed a question for everyone to contemplate. What happens when the sanctuary of our spirituality shifts from indoor worship services to outdoor wilderness? Can nature and spirituality, ecology and theology coexist in a way that orients our understanding of what we hold as sacred and holy? My response is an affirming yes. When experienced holistically, nature and spirituality, ecology and theology can remind us of our inherent connection to and deep belonging with the earth. Time and again, I hear people say, nature is my church. When I am outside in the natural world, I experience the wonder of creation most fully. I wanted to serve as a bridge builder between indoor churches and outdoor sanctuaries. I long to design and facilitate wilderness liturgy that help connect people with their bodies and the earth through nature-based spiritual practices. This felt like my ministry, my calling. Through my extensive network with the Center for Wild Spirituality, an eco-ministry hub of nature-based spiritual leadership, I learned about a program called Holy Hikes. Father Justin Cannon founded Holy Hikes 10 years ago and served as the rector at All Saints Episcopal Church in San Leandro, California. This program has grown nationwide and has expanded beyond the Episcopal tradition into other spiritual practices and traditions. Father Cannon described his invitation and vision in these words: Holy Hikes calls us to relate to all of creation in a communion-centered way. Change will come with legislation and cheaper green products, but we believe transformation will come as we reestablish our communion with all of life. Holy Hikes calls us beyond the walls of comfort to take a step, perhaps a hike, towards reunion with the earth and all of its life and beauty. Join us in finding new ways to restore our communion with all of creation. His invitation intrigued me, and I shared much in common with his vision theologically. Yet I found myself contending with another reality that tugged at my body and my conscience. It spoke to issues of age and ability, or rather, ageism and ableism. I turned 50 years old in 2020. It marked the beginning of a global health pandemic and my own threshold crossing into midlife. What happens when my spirit feels alive yet my changing body becomes less agile? Will I be sidelined? Invisible? How can a ministry of nature and spirituality, ecology and theology include the full spectrum of life and faith for all people at all stages? As part of my discernment process, I decided to explore these questions through a 3-day course on conscious aging called Awakening the Sage Within. This program is sponsored by Saging International. Here is a brief overview. In developing an elder spiritual practice, we pursue the path proposed by Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi in his seminal work, From Aging to Saging. It involves an introspection of the following: examining our attitudes and fears about aging and our cultural stereotypes, and claiming our right of promoting and practicing a new paradigm, connecting to our inner wisdom through growth techniques of psychology and spirituality, including meditation, contemplation, journaling, and spiritual intimacy sharing. Learning to nourish ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, socially, and spiritually all together. In my online cohort, there are about 20 of us from around the world: United States, Canada, Europe, and Mexico. We spanned a broad range from ages 45 to 78. As part of our introducing ourselves, we were asked to respond to these 3 questions. How many years of life experience do you have? What excites you most about aging? What concerns you most about aging? I have never gotten to know people so well and so intimately in such a short a period of time with these guiding questions. People shared honestly and openly about their hopes and fears with vulnerability and candor. When we added up our collective age, we totaled 1,349 years of life experience and wisdom. We gained insights from each other as fellow leaders and teachers. At the end of our session, we were asked, "What have you learned today?" The response that resonated with me the most was this one: "I am not alone." This course on conscious aging caused me to circle back to the initial invitation to engage in creation with holy hiking. Given my more expanded perspective, I had an idea. What if my eco-theology ministry were to include the spiritual practices of conscious aging as a more holistic calling? That way, I could integrate nature-based spiritual practices through a wilderness liturgy that is accessible to all people. No one would feel sidelined and invisible based on their changing bodies. After all, isn't a vibrant faith supposed to include the full spectrum of life, where we grow in wisdom and become elders for future generations? Living into the rhythms, seasons, and cycles of life ecologically and spiritually are core tenets among the world's religions, along with respect for elders. This may sound counterculture in the United States, given our youth-obsessed culture, but it doesn't have to be that way. We can work together in changing the paradigm. This transformative shift in perspective has inspired me to apply for a year-long program with Saging International to become a certified workshop facilitator for churches, retreat centers, community organizations, and retirement centers. The 8 core concepts addressed in these workshops include the following: the image of aging, qualities of a wise elder, deep reflection and growth, life review, life repair and forgiveness, facing our mortality, leaving a legacy, and sharing our gifts. Please join me as we shift the paradigm toward living into the rhythms, seasons, cycles of life ecologically and spiritually within a culture of inclusion and respect for elders. This, I believe, is how we will reorient ourselves with creation as our primary sanctuary and nature as our source of inspiration for what we hold as sacred and holy. In fact, African-American scientist and inventor George Washington Carver has guided us on our way with his wise words. How far you go in life depends on your being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of the weak and strong, because someday in life you will have been all of these. May it be so. Amen. Shalom, salam, namaste, and ashe. And please join us in our hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
Please repeat after me as I extinguish the flame of our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. The warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And may we remember that our deep connection and belonging to each other and the earth. And now, may you go into this week blessed and blessing the world. We hold you in our love as you go.